want to talk about is the King. Cowboys go all in on the King, Henry. Derrick Henry, there has been rumors over the past few weeks, and there was heavy speculation before the year started that Derrick Henry was going to be dealt at some point. And as we get closer to the NFL trade deadline, and the Titans are clearly not in a position to win now. It seems like trading a 29-year-old Derrick Henry headed into the last year of, or is he headed into the last year of his contract? I believe it should be the last year of his contract this year. Regardless, yeah, you'll check on that. But he's 29 years old, so you probably want to capitalize on the value that you can get for Derrick Henry now while you still can. And it would make a lot of sense to do it at this year's deadline. It's just a matter of where he ends up. And this is definitely spicy for sure. And I could see the rebuttal against this for sure. But I think that Derrick Henry ends up with the Dallas Cowboys at this year's NFL trade deadline. So the Cowboys before the year, they publicly said, came out loud, Mike McCarthy was screaming it from the rooftops. This would be a run-first team. And he's right. It has been a run-first team so far this year. The usage is there. They are sixth in rush attempts per game. So they are attempting to run the ball, but they're not doing it effectively at all. The efficiency is just not there. They're 21st in yards per attempt. They are 30th in PFF rush grade right now. And the big reason for all that, and I talked a lot about this, if you want to go back and re-listen to the Cowboys episode before the season. Now, I might have been a little hasty with how much hate I placed on the Dallas Cowboys in the offseason. So you might have to glance over a little bit of that episode. But the stuff that I said about Tony Pollard going into the season all applies. Tony Pollard is not a bell cow running back in this league. Like you heard, I haven't heard bell cow back in a little bit, but Dan Campbell said it when he was talking about David Montgomery versus Jahmyr Gibbs. And I think it's pretty much, it should be a similar situation here in Dallas. I think that Pollard is an extremely good football player. He's an extremely good football player, but I think he's a good third down, change of pace, passing back, similar to the Gibbs-Monty situation, or on a lower, like, not the same scale, but similar to like an A.J. Dillon, Aaron Jones situation. Tyler Algier, Bijan Robinson situation. You know, like you have your change of pace guy, and then you have your between the tackles guy. And Pollard is not your between the tackles guy. So you look at his 2022 stats versus his 2023 stats. He had 193 carries in 2022. That was a career high, which doesn't shock many people because he hadn't really gotten his time to shine yet, sitting behind Zeke. I've repeated this 1,000 times, and I'll keep saying it. Zeke out-carried Tony Pollard last year. People do not want to come and face that reality, despite being terrible. And that's all well and good. Zeke was not good last year. He still almost had 1,000 yards, and he did out-carry Tony Pollard by a significant amount, which allowed Tony Pollard to be an efficiency monster. He had 5.2 yards per attempt. That was third among running backs last year. But then you look at 2023. He's already got 96 carries through 6 games. He's on pace for 272 carries. This is not a very small running back, but this is not the type of running back that you want to be giving 272 carries for, as opposed to his 5.2 yards per attempt last year. And I know I'm getting stats worthy, but it is what it is. He's got 3.9 yards per attempt this season. That's 30th amongst all running backs. And he's got a 64.3 run grade in comparison to a 90 run grade last year. So Dallas has been in the market for a second running back. They've been bringing guys in for workouts. I think that they thought Ronald Jones, was going to work out a little bit better. He doesn't end up playing it down for this team. And it's been heavy spec. If you're going to be a run-first team, you need 2 running backs. Rico Dowdle is not going to get the job done. Deuce Vaughn is not going to get the job done as an RB2. They need to establish the run. They've been in, and my theory that I'm coming to is maybe they've been in the running for Derrick Henry this whole time. Maybe that's the reason that they haven't made a move for a second running back. Maybe they've kept it under wraps that they've been in the running for Derrick Henry ever since he started being shopped before the season, because you need a Zeke replacement. And I think Derrick Henry at 29 in his last year of his deal, I think that would be the perfect Jerry Jones move, and it just makes too much sense for me for the Dallas Cowboys. So Can't wait to hear your argument
All
against.
right, so look, I don't even want to give you the credit of you selling me a little bit, but it does make a little bit
Oh,
of sense. It does make a little bit of sense in the sense of like, okay, they need a player like Derrick Henry. Now the question is, do they want to give up what it costs to get Derrick Henry? Also, you're going to have to do a little bit. I mean, it's not super big of a problem. They're going to need to do some contract flexibility to get him in here because he does have a sizable contract for a running back that they're already also paying a roughly similar contract to Tony Pollard. I know it's just for the rest of the year, but they do have to get him on the team and make the contracts and stuff work about that. The second
if
round
anybody
pick,
can do that, it's the Dallas Cowboys. But continue.
I agree. And a second round pick, I think, is fair value for what Derrick Henry can provide to a team. Maybe you're looking towards a third. It kind of depends on, what you think of Derrick Henry at this point in his career and what 6-7 games, or not 6-7 games, 10 or 11 games of him is worth plus the playoffs. That is, a pretty significant question here because I can't see them paying both of those guys long term, especially since Pollard is going to be asking for a contract extension after the season as he was just franchise tagged, and Derrick Henry probably also going to want money in a similar level, and you're going to be paying $20 million to your running back room. That's not exactly a recipe for success in today's NFL. However, getting him on this team would provide a part of their game on offense that they haven't had this year. They just simply haven't. And Tony Pollard cannot provide what Derrick Henry is going to provide. There's not really any running back in the NFL that can provide what Derrick Henry is going to provide. Adding that into the run game not only, helps Pollard be a little bit more efficient the way he was last year. It does kind of keep the ball out of Dak Prescott's hands a little bit more. I know that's the hot button thing is, we can't let Dak throw the ball anymore because he is going to throw picks all the time, which he has thrown picks in 2 games this year.
He looked a lot better
Oh,
in
yes,
the
he did.
Chargers
On Monday Night
game.
Football? Oh, my gosh. Yes, he did.
Yeah, he
Which is
did.
kind of my point here. I know that pains you to say, but it did happen. I don't know.
Despite that, this team is still 6th in rush attempts, dude.
This
So it's like they are running first.
this
They
feels
are
like a
trying to keep the ball at next.
Jerry Jones Cowboys. Derrick Henry's really good. Let's go get Derrick Henry because I have seen reports that they are going to be buyers. Now, the report was they're going to be buyers for corners because they did lose Trayvon Diggs due to injury. They didn't have the depth to deal with that injury. I think they're going to be looking to grab. I've seen Christian Fulton get floated around. I've seen Byron Murphy get floated around. Obviously, the one that all the Cowboys fans want is Patrick Surtain. I don't
What
think
if they
that's
threw
going to
like
happen.
Roger McCreary on top of a Derrick Henry trade?
Dude, no, throw Christian Fulton on there. He plays for the Titans.
That's true. Okay.
So that could happen. I don't know if they'd send both of them in the same trade because they might want to maximize their return by sending them to 2 different teams. But I definitely think this is possible, and I think that this would, where does this move the Cowboys in the NFC? Because that's the question.
I think it moves them into Super Bowl contention.
I know, but who does it move them in front of is the question.
I think, CMC's banged up this week. Debo's banged up this week. I know that that's not long term, but with how the Eagles have looked, and especially their recent performance against the Jets, maybe I would put if you're
credit
a run
for the
first
Cowboys.
Team, yeah, I know. I'm getting all crazy here, but if they go out and do this, it shows that they're out to win now, and then Dak can throw it more like 20 times a game than 50 times a game, and that is a recipe for success.